Get ready for your High Country Grizzlies. Come and join our American Arena League franchise at Holmes Convocation Center in Boone for a great night of fun with family and friends at the Den. And help cheer us on to a storied rise to the top. Be sure and visit us at highcountrygrizzlies.com for home schedules, tickets, latest news, team merchandise, and of course, to watch the games. We'll see you at the Den.
Welcome to Inside the Coach's Den here at the Swiss Mountain Village. I'm Gray Salter, the color analyst of the Grizzlies. And Grizzlies Nation, I'm here with head coach Scott Meserve. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome, great to hear. And normally it's Mackie Gallagher here with you on the Coach's Den, but today it's myself. Mackie Gallagher actually unfortunately had some family emergency issues he had to deal with, and as a Grizzlies family and the Grizzlies organization supports each other so much, I know, speaking for everybody at the organization, our thoughts and prayers are with him and the Gallagher family. But Coach, I'm excited to be here with you today, and we'll get right into it. So last week, not the result you guys wanted, took a 74-32 loss to the Atlanta Havoc in a pretty heated rivalry game. A lot of chippiness was going on in that game, a lot of competitive edge. Were you happy with the professionalism and the way that your team handled that whole situation?
My team handled the game, the beginning of the game, everything as a professional manner. I was very satisfied with the way we handled everything, all the adversity we faced during the game and before the game. The players were professional, and the organization was a professional manner.
How are you able to keep your players' heads in the game rather than focus on what was going on before the game and during the breaks?
We talk about that often, about adversity, outside influences on you as a player, on the organization. And we talked about it all last week. We talked about it every day at practice, what's going to happen if, and so the guys prepared for the what-ifs when they do happen. So the guys responded very well to that.
Speaking on that competitive edge a little bit, you know, some of the guys on the Havoc team were talking up to the stands, and your wife actually was pretty verbal. She in a very supportive way, a respectful way, but she had a great time supporting the team. What does it mean to you to have your wife up there as one of the loudest fans behind the Grizzlies Nation?
She gets an hour after every game to decipher anything that she has questions on. Years ago, we started at 2 hours, and I've cut it down to 1. She'll tell you if you're doing something wrong. She'll tell a DB if they're not doing the right coverage. She'll let the D-line, O-line know exactly what's going on. I give her that hour, and after that, she's done.
Yells at the players more than you then, huh?
Yeah.
So, Coach, in weeks past, you've placed a heavy emphasis on not turning the ball over and not having penalties hurting you, kind of two things that can take a team down from the inside out. 2 weeks ago, or 2 games ago, rather, you cut back on the turnovers with only 2, but you had a slew of penalties. This past week, you only had 1 penalty, but 4 turnovers. Is there a way to gel both of those together in this week's game?
The turnovers were bad reads. The one on the goal line was my fault. I had another play in my head that I should have ran because we hadn't been successful in practice with the toss, and I actually ran it. I shouldn't have. I should have ran something else. That was a game changer right there. And then the interceptions, just a bad read. You didn't understand the coverage when you threw it. We're close. We're very close. Everyone I talked to, we played Atlanta all the way up until the middle of the third quarter, that almost began the fourth quarter strong. We exposed a lot of things with their offensive line. Their defensive line did not have 1 sack the entire game, and no one else in the league has done that. So there's a lot of positives come out of it.
I want to talk about Darren Daniel a little bit, kind of with, you talk about his reads and the coverage and everything. It was his 2nd consecutive week throwing a touchdown to all 3 starting receivers. Can you talk to me a little bit just about what's been the difference maker for him in being able to find his open guys and go through his reads in that way?
It's more the conversation we have during the week about the play calling, why we're calling plays to target certain individuals. What's the first read, what's the second read, what's the check down, and take advantage of what they're giving us. And Darren's done a better job at taking advantage of what we're giving us, and we're targeting all 3 receivers because we have 3 great receivers.
You talk about taking advantage of what the defense gives you. Darren Daniel also looking a little bit like the High Country's Cam Newton, wearing that number 1 jersey, scrambling out of the pocket last week several times. He had 28 rushing yards on top of his 172 through the air. Is that mobile element something we can expect to see even more of from Darren moving forward?
We've been trying to get that all season to get him to get out and go, because that changes the aspect of the whole game. Was a versatile quarterback. And Darren's had a green light all year. He just hasn't been comfortable. And now with the offensive line doing what they do, he's gotten a lot more comfortable in doing what he's doing.
Are you looking to maybe give Darren more time on the field? Last week, the Havoc had 53 snaps versus your 39. What can you do on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, to maybe keep that ball in Darren's hands a little more rather than having your defense on the field so long?
The 53 snaps came to a point where our defense was stopping them. They had to go 3rd, 4th down quite a bit. Offensively, we just go out and score. And to slow it down, yes, no, but our defense played a great game as far as stopping them on 2nd down, 3rd down possessions.
Offensively, because that's mostly where we focused our talk. From last week, what's one thing you want to leave behind, leave on the field against the Havoc, and one thing that you want to take from that game and apply further this week against the Cats?
The first thing is we want to reduce the turnovers again, but we're also going to keep the emphasis on the offensive line and doing what they do to keep Darren and the receivers active.
I'm here with Coach Scott Meserve of the High Country Grizzlies Arena football team at Swiss Mountain Village, and we'll be right back with some defensive thoughts after this. Sorry about that.
Welcome to Dream Vacations. You deserve an extraordinary getaway, free of the hassles associated with planning today's myriad of complicated excursions. With over 200 incredible ships sailing worldwide and hundreds of exotic resort destinations, Dream Vacations will help you find the most appropriate vacation style for your personality and situation. Dream Vacation Specialist Frankie Groff will help you with insider savings with special fares, rates, and other offers, including weekly specials through our eSavers sign-up. And being part of the world's leading cruise agency, Frankie still provides the personal touch, making sure that your adventure becomes a lifelong memory. So rely on the best and contact Frankie Groff today to help make your dream vacation a reality.
So, how's retirement? Staying pretty busy, actually. Busy? Busy's good.
Honey, look.
Number 18 in the house.
Gets the same thing every time.
You know I can hear you, right? You know I can hear you, right? I'll be here all week. For your many retirement needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Welcome to Capone's Pizza, where fantastic Chicago-style pizza is just one of the many delicious treasures that we offer. From tasty salads, creative appetizers, to calzones and more, Capone's will make you an offer you can't refuse. Adults, step up to the bar for Tuesday's $2 draft and Thursday's half-off wine special. Wednesday is for the kids, where all 12 and under eat for free. Our friendly and talented staff work hard daily to provide a great dining experience. And we're proud sponsors of your High Country Grizzlies. So join us today for lunch or dinner at Capone's Pizza, easy to find at 139 New Market Center in Boone.
At Jeff's Plumbing and Repair, we can take care of your broken drain lines, broken water line, broken water heaters, drippy faucets, drippy showers, and anything that can go wrong within your home, hotel, or business. If you're having a problem with your water heater, we can take care of any water heater from 30,000 BTUs up to over 1 million BTUs. Our experienced crew are happy to help you with any questions that you've got and are certified through several manufacturers across the country. We've been here for 31 years and we're here to help you and make sure that you have a safe and happy plumbing system. Here at Jeff's Plumbing and Repair, we're working hard to keep you in hot water and out of trouble.
We'll start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Welcome back, Grizzlies Nation. I'm here at the Swiss Mountain Village with head coach Scott Meserve of the High Country Grizzlies. And we just talked a little bit of offense, what they did against the Havoc, what they can do against Peach State this weekend. But I want to move more into the defensive side of things. And I'm going to start with where I believe the game can be won on the defensive side of things, and that's the defensive line. One name that I've started to notice the last couple weeks is Francis Mays. came in, had 2 tackles for loss in his first home game against the Torch, had another tackle for loss last week against the Havoc. What has it meant to have him kind of anchor that defensive unit, especially amidst, some injuries on that front line and some player turnover?
It's great to see them get better week after week. Francis finally found his home, coming off the edge and helping out with Ethan at the end and Antonio at the nose. Now we can really put more emphasis on Francis and what he does and what he's successful at.
Would you say that Francis is the most physically imposing guy on that defensive line?
At 6'9", he kind of has to be.
Right. Is getting to the quarterback, I know you talk a lot about that being an emphasis. Is that something you're focused on specifically this week, or is that just kind of becoming a culture of the High Country?
It's the big thing with Francis is we can move him either at nose or at end. And with his wingspan, he can block the middle passing lanes up. So that has been really effective for us, being able to move him in different positions, and then adding other players to help him out has been a very big asset.
What is taking away those middle passing lanes? What does that do for your secondary? Does that allow them to maybe get into the game more and make better plays on their end?
It helps the jack linebacker or the MAC linebacker, whoever's in coverage, make a better read, that he doesn't have to worry about one zone because now he can fly to the other zone because we know we've taken that away with the D-line.
Are you a believer that the defense is built from that inside out, or do you kind of think that it can be developed really any way as long as people are hitting their assignments?
As long as everyone does their assignments, it should be a balanced attack. Most defenses I build are from the linebackers out. The linebackers control the whole game.
Okay. Kind of talking about hitting those assignments. Chapel Lee for the Havoc threw for 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Grizzlies did have an interception, but it wasn't until the backup Eubank came in. What can you do to disrupt that passing game a little more this week? I know, putting 6 TDs on the board, no turnovers through the air for them. Peach State's got to be a different story. How do you accomplish that?
We made some changes in the secondary as far as who's playing where, more consistency. You got to remember I started 2 rookies as well last week against Atlanta. Natavius was a rookie at center, was his at free safety, was his first ever game in arena football. And I thought he did pretty well to be a first game ever. Quentin Tucker is actually starting to show what he can do at the corner position. And the big addition back this week is Gerard Hallman. Gerard Hallman's back from his family issues, his baby being born, and we're excited to get Gerard back in the field.
What does having Gerard back on the field do for that defense, just as far as a leadership standpoint?
He runs the defense. He is the captain of the defense. He runs it. He makes sure everyone knows what's going on. Gerard's a special individual.
You talk about Quentin Tucker stepping up, Tavius Otis going to play in his 2nd arena football game ever this weekend against the Peach State Cats. I've noticed you've gotten a little crafty with the DBs, especially up close to the line, having them throw little movements, little jab steps, switching coverages right as the ball is snapped. Is that kind of to target the timing aspect of the opposing offense? What does that do defensively for you?
We're trying to take away the first read. Just as the quarterback takes the snap, the first read is now cloudy. Now he's got to go to a second read. Now we can catch him in a mistake. Some people will run 10, 12 coverages. We keep it simple with a couple. But the biggest thing is to make that first read cloudy, so now he has to go to a second read, which gives the D-line more time to get there.
Is timing in arena football as important, would you say, as it is in outdoor or traditional football, or is it lost a little bit due to the fact that the pace of the game is so much faster?
The pace of the game and the size of the field is 2 absolutely different compared to outdoor to indoor. And that first read is a big deal. On outdoor, you have longer time to look at that first read because there's more space available. Indoor, 1 split second can make a mistake.
Absolutely. We talk about you want your offense not to turn the ball over too much, allow yourself more opportunities to score. Defensively, is forcing turnovers something that you put a heavy emphasis on, or is that something that you really just think comes with the play?
Everyone wants at least 3 turnovers a game. High school, college, pro, 3 turnovers a game. That means 3 stops. We get 2 more stops on 4th down. That's 5 stops. That's 5 more chances our offense should be able to score. And 5 stops in arena football is a big deal. We just got to get back to that point.
I know sometimes when an emphasis is put on forcing turnovers, sometimes some of the fundamental aspects of the game are lost. Last week, tackling was a huge issue for the team. 2-yard plays turning into 20-yard plays. At the end of the half, a chance to stop one receiver, 3 missed tackles led to a touchdown, kind of a momentum blow there. What have you kind of talked about with your team as far as just getting back to the basics and making sure that they bring down guys, finish their assignments on defense?
We address that as you're all professionals. If you can't tackle, you shouldn't be playing football. And that's my conversation with them was, if you can't make a tackle when we need a tackle, I got to find someone that can make a tackle. And that's what it comes down to.
You heard it from Coach Scott Meserve here on the Inside Coach's Den show at the Swiss Mountain Village. When we come back, we will be previewing next week's game a little more in depth and get some general thoughts from Coach Meserve as we close out.
How can something be so close to everywhere you want to be, but also possess the peace and quiet you desire in a true Appalachian mountain setting? That's what you'll find at Swiss Mountain Village, nestled in a tranquil valley just off the Blue Ridge Parkway and very close to downtown Blowing Rock. For over 35 years, Swiss Mountain Village has been a haven for high country guests and families, a place where the relaxing is easy, a place where you can fish from the fully stocked trout lake or just rock your cares away on the front porch. Then, when it's time for high country activities, you are close to everything. Swiss Mountain Village is only just a few minutes from the Blue Ridge Parkway and Moses Cone Memorial Park. Also, just a few minutes to downtown Blowing Rock, Tanger Shops on the Parkway, Appalachian Ski Mountain and other area ski resorts, Tweetsie Railroad, Appalachian State University in downtown Boone, Grandfather Mountain, and many more. Swiss Mountain Village offers cabins made of rough-hewn logs, complemented by a native stone fireplace. The Swiss chalets feature a unique architectural design. The stairway to the loft actually takes you over the stone fireplace. All of the Swiss Mountain properties are completely furnished with towels, linens, complete kitchens, washers and dryers, gas logs, free Wi-Fi, and cable TV. There's also a clubhouse and outside barbecue. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom plus studio units are available, accommodating from 2 to 8 people. Swiss Mountain Village offers 12 beautiful acres that will become your high country home away from home. It's where you and your family will create great memories and a place where you will return to time and time again. To learn more about Swiss Mountain Village, visit swissmountain.com or call 888-785-1188.
Welcome back to Inside the Coach's Den here at Swiss Mountain Village. I'm Gray Salter, the color commentator for the High Country Grizzlies, here with Coach Scott Meserve. and we've been having great talk about the offense, about the defense, about last week's game against the Havoc, but now it's time to look a little bit more ahead against Peach State this weekend. Peach State Cats, they're 0-4 on the year, looking for their first win. Similar situation to when the Torch came into the Holmes Convocation Center. They were looking for their first win. The Grizzlies kept them from doing that. Is it kind of a similar mindset going into this game with the situations being pretty similar themselves?
Peach State's a very good team, very good receivers. They've had the ball bounce the wrong way a couple times. The bad thing for us is we're coming off another bye week. It seems like whenever we get momentum, we get another bye week. We now have 4 in a row to run, but Peach State's our starting point. And I told the guys this is a game that we have to show out. We have to do our best out here and set the tone for the rest of the year, make a run for the playoffs.
Does coming off of playing in general, an undefeated team like the Havoc, does that hurt you or help you when you then go into the next week and play a team that's winless?
If you watch the first 3 quarters of that game, we're neck and neck with Atlanta. There was no point where they pulled away from us. We actually beat ourselves. Offensive line-wise, held our own. Defensive line, we got pressure on the quarterback several times. A couple balls bounced the right way. That's a different ball game.
You talk about kind of the struggle of being able to push momentum through bye weeks. What do you do as a coach to kind of help your players accomplish that as best you can?
We've set the tone in practice. We come in and we have the typical practice of where we're supposed to be. Treat them all as professionals. This is your time. You got to be here. This time we're practicing. Everything I do is scripted out. I know exactly at what time during practice we're doing what time the players are doing what. All the calls we do offensively and defensively is all scripted out to put us in bad situations, so we're ready for that for the game. If it does happen, we'll be ready for any situation.
Absolutely. You bring in a lot of new players every week just to give new guys opportunities. Some guys receive new opportunities at higher levels themselves, and you as a coach are very supportive of your players in accepting those. But, you know, with new personnel can also change the type of play. Can we expect to see anything that's maybe drastically different this week versus previous weeks, or are we just looking for some improvement based upon what you guys have done thus far?
We're going to keep the system we have. The system's been successful. We just made mistakes. The guys I bring in fit my system. Otherwise, I don't bring them in. We have 2 new receivers coming in tonight for practice, and we'll see if they fit my system or not. If not, they've been told that they could go home right away. But you're always trying to get that next, I'm going to say Malachi. You're trying to find that next Malachi. And I think I got 2 or 3 of them here.
Great. You know, you talk about bringing in a lot of those new guys. There is still a core, though. There's a core on this Grizzlies team. They're tight-knit. It's a great group of guys. It's a great group of football players. I'm sure at this point in the season, a couple of those guys have emerged as leaders. When new guys come in, they're immediately greeted by those guys. Those guys kind of take them under their wing, and they've kind of taken this team into their own hands as far as on the field goes. Do you have a couple of those guys in mind that have maybe stepped up and provided an extra leadership role to this team?
Gerard Holloman's one. John Valentine stepped up. Drake White and A.J. Stevenson are stepping up as leaders as well. And then the offensive line, Jordan Farrow is doing an amazing job being that leader on the offensive line for me to handle everything that handles there. He actually schedules film sessions with the guys when I can't be here. So he's taking that initiative to go to the next step.
Coach, for myself, when I think about something I want these Grizzlies leaders to kind of instill in maybe some of the rest of their team. Last week, we talked about tackling being an issue. That turnover right on the 5-yard line, you're about to score, keep yourself in the game with the Havoc. You yourself said that was the turning point. How can you get your players, get your leaders to help everybody finish this week? I mean, that's really the theme, I think, for at least from myself as a color analyst perspective, you know, finishing drives, finishing assignments, finishing tackles, finishing plays. Is that something that you've focused on? Is that something you want your leaders pointing out to their teammates?
It has to be personal. They have to take everything personal now. That I'm going to do the best to my ability for my job. And I'm not going to have to worry about my other player doing his job, because we're all going to focus on what we have to do at hand.
You always talk to me about when you go into a game offensively, you're going to take what the defense gives you and you're going to work with that. What are you looking for specifically? And maybe what can Grizzlies fans watching along with you in this game look for in the defense of the opposition when you say taking what the defense gives you?
They do some interesting things defensively inside a certain yard line. They'll go man coverage. Then they'll play 2 or 3 other coverages outside, and they're very predictable when they do that. It's just being able to communicate what I see to Darren so Darren can get the ball where it's supposed to be and be successful.
This weekend, the High Country Grizzlies are playing the Peach State Cats. It'll be the second to last game in the Holmes Convocation Center for you guys this year. What has it meant to have that as a venue this year, and just the fans in Holmes Convocation Center? What does that mean to the team?
Just first of all, the support staff they have at ASU is amazing to work with. Anything we need, anything is asked of us, is all first-class operation. The fans are phenomenal. They got into the game last week, and hopefully this week we'll give them a show that they won't forget.
I always like to touch on the fact that the Grizzlies are super involved in the community. They love giving back. They love sinking their roots into the High Country. Coach, is there anything that you'd like to point out as far as community outreach recently for your team?
I believe this week last week we worked with the elementary schools and the Colorado Lines. Bree has done a great job communicating with the players where they had to be, when they had to be, as far as different appearances. This Friday night we will be at Blackjack's Grill in West Jefferson at 5:30. We'll have several players there for anyone who wants autographs. But that's another major we go all the way up to West Jefferson.
Gotcha. Coach, I'm all finished. I always like to give you the last word. Anything else you want to say?
We have a new face coming back this week. Actually, he's not a new face. He's an old face. He'll be getting some playing time this week. You need to come see what he's going to be able to do. And I'm hoping to put as many points as I can this week to set a High Country record this week.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Coach Scott Meserve trying to set a record for points in the High Country this week. They will be playing the Peach State Cats on Saturday, and the Grizzlies sound like they will be ready for that matchup. This has been Inside the Coach's Den. I'm Gray Salter with Scott Meserve. Thanks for listening.
Get ready for your High Country Grizzlies. Come and join our American Arena League franchise at Holmes Convocation Center in Boone for a great night of fun with family and friends at the Den. And help cheer us on to a storied rise to the top. Be sure and visit us at highcountrygrizzlies.com for home schedules, tickets, latest news, team merchandise, and of course, to watch the games. We'll see you at the Den.